Good day! In this lecture, we will continue our discussion on nanomaterials, focusing on their properties and methods of synthesis. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to explain synthesis methods of nanomaterials and examine their unique properties. Nanoparticles exhibit unique properties compared to bulk materials. These include lower melting points, different colors, and higher reactivity. For example, gold nanoparticles appear red, while bulk gold is yellow. These differences arises because a large fraction of atoms are located at the surface. Surface atoms are tightly bound, making them more reactive. For every small particles, up to 30% of atoms may be on the surface. Nanomaterials have a much higher surface area to volume ratio, and this increases chemical reactivity, catalytic activity, and interaction with the environment. At the nanoscale, materials also exhibit quantum effects, and this can lead to changes in the optical, electrical, and magnetic properties. In atoms, energy levels are discrete, and in bulk solids, energy levels form continuous bands. Nanoparticles exist between partially discrete energy levels. Atoms and small molecules have discrete quantized energy levels, and electrons are confined to a very small volume. Solid metals and semiconductors have broad energy levels, and their electrons are delocalized throughout the entire crystal. For solid nanoparticles, the spacing between energy levels increases as the size of the particle decreases. Electron behavior depends on dimensionality. For zero-dimensional crystals, electrons confined in all directions. For one-dimensional particles, electron move along one axis, and for two-dimensional particles, electron move within a plane. This confinement changes the material properties. Quantum dots are semiconductor nanoparticles typically between 1 to 10 nanometers in size. They exhibit strong size-dependent optical properties. When exposed to UV light, quantum dots emit visible light, and the color depend on the particle size. Smaller particles emit shorter wavelengths, and larger particles emit longer wavelengths. For example, a 3 nanometer cadmium selenide emits green light at 520 nanometers, whereas the 5.5 nanometers cadmium selenide emits red light at 620 nanometers. This demonstrates how size control optical properties. Well, this occurs because electrons are excited to higher energy levels and then return to lower levels. These changes in the electron excitation emits light. The energy difference corresponds to the band gap, which depends on the particle size. This transition produces a visible photon having an energy roughly equal to the band gap. The smaller the particle, the larger the band gap, and the greater shift in color of the emitted light from the red to the violet spectrum. Because of their distinctive optical properties, quantum dots may have numerous applications. For example, as fluorescent probes or labels, it allows them for simultaneous detection, tracking, and imaging in color of a number of biomolecules within a cell. They can also be modified in thousands of times smaller than human cells and are able to penetrate cell membranes. The surface of the quantum dots is modified by attaching an organic molecule that targets and bonds to specific biomolecule such as DNA or a protein. And when they bond to a biomolecule and are irradiated with UV light, they serve as fluorescent probes or labels for particular biomolecules. Because of their distinctive optical properties, quantum dots may be used in numerous applications. An example of which is the use of quantum dots in LCD TVs. Nanomaterial synthesis involves controlling the size, the shape, the structure, and composition of the nanomaterials. This allows tailoring of properties for specific applications. In the top-down approach, bulk materials are broken down into nanoscale particles. This includes methods like milling or lithography. In the bottom-up approach, atoms or molecules assemble to form nanoparticles. This method provides better control over the structure and size. In comparison, top-down methods allow for large-scale production but have less control over the size and the shape of the nanomaterial. For the bottom-up method, it provides precise control but it is more difficult to scale. Choosing the method depends on the application. For the top-down process, you start with the bulk layer, you apply layer of photoresistance, and you expose the wafer with UV light through mask and etch wafer. Lastly, you have etch wafer with the desired pattern. For the bottom-up process, you start with the bulk wafer, and you alter the area of the wafer where the structure is to be created by adding polymer or seed crystal or other techniques. You grow or assemble the structure on the area and it is determined by the seed crystals or the polymer. For the advantages of the top-down approach, it is easier for large-scale production and there is a deposition over a large substrate. It is also easy to purify. For the bottom-up approach, the ultra-fine nanoparticles, nanoshells, and nanotubes can be prepared. The deposition parameters can also be controlled under the bottom-up approach, and there is a narrow size distribution possibility. Bottom-up approach is also a cheaper technique. For the disadvantages, the top-down approach provides broad size distributions around 10 to 1,000 nanometers. Also, for the top-down approach, it varies in terms of particle shapes or geometry, and the control over deposition parameters is difficult to achieve. There are also impurities, stresses, defects, and imperfections that get introduced to the nanomaterial. For the bottom-up approach, one of the disadvantages is that it is very difficult for a large-scale production and chemical purification of nanoparticles is required.